Hey, what's going on, Z Nation? Zaid here, ZSPN. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about the Los Angeles Lakers as it concerns the NBA draft. Now, guys, before I get into my thoughts about the Lakers and the draft situation that they have, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share my videos all over Facebook, Twitter, all the good social media stuff. And, of course, like always, please be sure to like my page on Facebook, ZSPN, and also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at ZSPN_sports. Guys, I really do appreciate all the love and support you guys give me all across social media and, of course, on this channel, ZSPN on YouTube. Please be sure to hit that notification bell that's right next to the subscribe button so you will know when I upload on this channel because, guys, we have just entered the month of June. And when it comes down to it, there's going to be a lot of news surrounding the Lakers when it comes to the NBA draft and potential free agents that could be in the interest for the Los Angeles Lakers. So please stay tuned for this, guys, and please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and follow me all across social media. I really do appreciate it. So, guys, let's talk about the Lakers and the NBA draft. Now, I know what you all are thinking. Zaid, why are you bringing up the NBA draft? The Lakers don't even have picks this year. What's going on with you? Why are you thinking that way? Well, let me just put some input here when it comes to the Lakers and the NBA draft. There's a lot of scenarios that the Lakers can be involved when it comes to the NBA draft. When it comes down to it, the Lakers have an opportunity to buy a draft pick. Now, it won't be like a first-round pick. That we could put that out the way. That only has to do with any sort of trades that the Lakers could do when it comes to, getting a first-round pick. And I don't think the Lakers are going that route. The Lakers have done this before when it comes down to buying a pick in the draft. They did it with THT, Tatum Horton Tucker, I believe back in 2018, I believe. So when it came down to it, the Lakers have done it before when it comes to buying a draft pick. So it's not anything too surprising that the Lakers are interested in buying a second round pick. So when it comes down to it, the Lakers could go and buy a second round pick. They can either do a trade or they could just pay cash to a team to get a second round pick. That's the only type of scenario that the Lakers could do when it comes to buying a second-round pick this year. And, judging by the workouts that I've been seeing when it comes to the Lakers and their draft combine, the Lakers are showing a lot of interest in certain players. I mean, there's a plethora of them that I will talk about in this video, but just bear with me for a minute when it comes to the Lakers and their draft situation. As I said, the Lakers could buy a draft pick in the second round when it comes to just paying cash for a draft pick to any sort of team out there. Another way is that the Lakers could trade. They could trade a player to get a second round pick. And I'm not sure who is that at the moment, but when it comes down to the teams that have draft picks in the second round, as you can see in front of you, or if you guys are listening to this to my podcast, please subscribe to my podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Radio Public. I really do appreciate it. So when it comes down to it, guys, the Lakers could potentially ask teams like the Indiana Pacers, who have 2 second-round picks in this year's draft, or they can go to the Pelicans, who, in the history, the Lakers have made trades in the past with the New Orleans Pelicans. So when it comes down to those type of teams, there's also the Cavaliers as well. They have a couple of draft picks in the second round. So the Lakers could look at all their options, as you can see in front of you, that could be appealing to them when it comes to looking for a player in the draft that they really want to draft, and they can go that route. And then obviously the third option, which they always done for many years when it comes to the draft, is to sign an undrafted player. There's a couple of players in mind that the Lakers could go with when it comes to, signing someone as an undrafted player. They did so with players like Alex Caruso, and you know how that worked out for the Lakers. He was sensational until, he took his talents to Chicago. And then, you also, obviously, this last season with Austin Reeves and Mac McClung. So when it comes down to those players, the Lakers have a good history of signing undrafted players that really worked out at the end. So when it comes down to it, the Lakers go that route. But the Lakers do have somebody in mind that they know they could potentially be drafted in the second round. I won't be surprised if the Lakers do decide to buy a second round pick in this year's draft. The Lakers could go that route, but as it stands now, guys, these are all speculations and rumors at the moment. But as it stands now, I won't be surprised if the Lakers go that route because they have did it in the past with THT. So, guys, those are the reasons why I'm making this video. And there's a couple of players in mind when it comes down to the Lakers and their opportunity of potentially getting a second round pick. As I said, when it comes down to it, the Lakers and the second round pick, they could potentially go with somebody that has just multiple second round picks. So as I showed you, so the couple of players in mind that I think the Lakers could go after is lots of great talent, honestly. And I think there's one name that's been swarming around the Lakers sphere when it comes down to it, and that is Kai Sotto. Kai Sotto is the guy that I hope the Lakers will target. He is my number one guy in the second round that I think the Lakers could target. He is projected to go in the second round or undrafted. So it's kind of like a win-win type of situation. If the Lakers don't buy a second round pick, he could potentially land as an undrafted player. He could go the Austin Reeves route and say, you know what, I don't want to be drafted. I want to go to the Lakers type of scenario. So Kai Sotto, a guy who is a 7-footer, a center, who can shoot. And that's honestly rare type of scenarios when it comes to finding centers that can shoot from the 3-point line. He's a guy who can shoot 30, I believe it's shot like 38% from the 3. And the only knock on him is that, when it comes down to it, guys, he's not a perimeter type of shooter. I mean, he's not like a catch and shoot type of guy. It's just that at key situations and key certain games, if he has the opportunity to shoot a 3, he will make it. That's type of situation that he brings to the table. But I think, later on, and once he develops in the G League, which obviously I think he will go that route first, and then his second year, or maybe if he signs a 2-way contract with the Lakers and plays a couple of times as a Los Angeles Laker, he could potentially be that guy down the line that will fit as a Los Angeles Laker. Same goes with Austin Reeves and Alex Caruso at that time as a guy who developed in the G League, and to the point that now that they are regular type of NBA players. And I believe Kai Sotto can develop that down the line. And I just think that, if the Lakers have the opportunity to draft a Kai Sotto, then I think they should go that route. But if not, there's other players. I mean, the Lakers have worked out players like Jordan Usher. Jordan Usher is a guy who's sorry, excuse me, I have to think about it. He's he plays multiple positions. Excuse me, let me go that route. He plays multiple positions. He's a guard and a forward. He's like 6'6", 6'5", and when it comes down to it, guys, his best trait that he brings to the table is that he can attack the rim. He's a scorer, a guy who can obviously attack the rim and score for you. And if the Lakers want to go that route when it comes to finding a guard who can score for you, then I think the Lakers will go that route. And I believe they should go with Jordan Usher when it comes down to going that route when it comes to drafting a guard in the second round. But if he falls undrafted, I hope the Lakers will snatch him right away. He's potentially projected to go in the second round, but he could go undrafted. But it's all up to the teams to make that type of decision, and the Lakers, if what's best suits for them when it comes to the second round. And then there's also a couple of players that's out there as well. I honestly, guys, there's another guy who was projected to go to the second round. Two players, actually. Let me start with one. UCLA guy. He's from LA, so obviously he knows the culture of LA and the winning mentality of the Los Angeles Lakers, and that is Johnny Uzang, or is it Uzung, or something like that, guys. He's a guard who obviously really stood out, as a UCLA guy, and plus he's an LA native, and when it comes down to what he brings to the table, he can shoot. A guy who can shoot as well. He's a good perimeter shooter, and also he's a scorer. I believe last time I checked, he averaged for the past 2 years in UCLA around 15 to 20 points a game. So he also brings shooting and a bit of scoring at the same time. So when it comes down to it, guys, Johnny Uzang Juzang is a guy that the Lakers could also look at as well. Third, I know maybe he will go in the second round, but he may go earlier. That sort of depends on the Lakers and who they potentially will, trade for when it comes to getting a second round pick. I hope it's the Indiana Pacers, because that can also work in the Lakers' favor when it comes to potentially trading Russell Westbrook to get players like Buddy Hield and Malcolm Brogdon. And if the Indiana Pacers do, decide to give us a second round pick, I believe the Lakers will have to forfeit the first round pick to get a second round, an asset plus 2 players in return. So that's my own thoughts and opinions about that. But I don't think the Lakers will sacrifice so much. But if the Indiana Pacers offer them a second round pick, then with the players that I mentioned, then I think that will be a great win for the Lakers. And plus you'll be getting Buddy Hield, who obviously the Lakers want to see in the Lakers uniform. And when it comes down to Malcolm Brogdon, sure, he's injured prone, but at the same time, when healthy, he does produce as a great talented player who can score for you and can also shoot for you as a point guard. So if the Lakers go that route and potentially look for a better option for potentially trading Russell Westbrook, I think the Lakers can go that route, the only route really when it comes to the Indiana Pacers. But other than that, we just have to wait and see what Russell Westbrook will make his decision on picking up his player option, which he will. I mean, $47 million. I mean, I don't know any player in the NBA that will decline that. So $47 million, and if he picks that up and say, you know what, I'll be traded, I want to go to this or that destination, or just trade me, I want to start from scratch, then I think the Lakers could look at Indiana Pacers for that potential deal to happen in a package type of situation. So that's my own thoughts and opinions about that. But let me get to the player that I had to bring that type of soliloquy right there. So you have to excuse me. So when it comes down to it, guys, the other player that I think the Lakers could target, who obviously is a well-known, respected name. His father is a Hall of Famer, won six championships with Chicago Bulls. I think you know where I'm going with this, and that is Scottie Pippen Jr. Scottie Pippen Jr. is a guy who obviously is well known as his father, but he played in Vanderbilt, and he's a guy who can obviously score for you. For the past 2 seasons in Vanderbilt, he averaged around 20 points a game. And I think the scoring side, similar to what Jordan Usher brings to the table, same goes for Scottie Pippen Jr. And it's just that name recognition, just having that name under as your resume really can also bring a lot to the table when it comes to what the Lakers and seeing fans want to see a Pippen playing in the Lakers uniform. So I think money-wise, it will work for the Lakers, but at the same time, he also brings scoring to the table. So I think the Lakers could also look at him as well when it comes down to it. But other than that, guys, I believe those players that I've mentioned, I think that's the best route for the Lakers to do when it comes to the second round. As I said, the Lakers have to, trade to get a second round pick, but I won't be surprised if they don't. They have, after the draft to sign undrafted players that could fall to them, that's appealing to them. I mean, the Lakers have a history of making great decisions by signing undrafted players, as I mentioned with Alex Caruso, and recently with Austin Reeves and Mac McClung. So if there's talent out there that the Lakers could sign in the as an undrafted player, I won't be disappointed by the Lakers' decision to go after those particular players undraftedly. So when it comes down to that, guys, please give me your thoughts about the Lakers in the NBA draft. Do you think the Lakers should buy a second round pick to potentially draft a player that they have in mind, either Kai Sotto, Jordan Usher, Scottie Pippen Jr., or maybe Johnny Juzang, Johnny Juzang, those potential players that I think the Lakers could, potentially target. But, there could be someone else. I know there's one out there that the Lakers could have their eye on, that is, I believe his name is Kofi Coburn. Kofi Coburn. He's a guy who's from from Virginia, or maybe he's from Illinois. Excuse me, I had to think about that for a second. When it comes down to it, he's a guy who's a center who is, he's beefed up. I mean, he's big. So when it comes down to it, he's a 7-footer. So obviously, when it comes down to it, he's a guy who can dunk for you and he can protect the rim for you. If the Lakers are looking for protection, I think if they don't want to go in the free agency market and re-sign players like Dwight Howard, or go after players like JaVale McGee, if they want to go young and talented, I think they should go with Kofi on this one. The only knock on him is that he is real slow. He's a slow type of guy, and I think that he won't be that mobile type of a center. That's why he may be falling so low in the draft, and he's projected to go in the second round. So if the Lakers want to go that route for a center, then if none of those players are available that's appealing to them to draft in the second round, then I think the next best option, if Kai Sotto isn't available, then I think the Lakers should go with Kofi on this one. So I think other than that, guys, those are my selections. I have to bring that player up because I just have to, look at all of the Lakers options when it comes to the draft and who could potentially fall to them in the NBA draft if they do decide to buy a second round pick. But, as I said, undrafted players worked in the past for the Lakers, and the Lakers haven't disappointed when it comes to signing talented undrafted players. So when it comes down to it, guys, I really want to know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and guys, make sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe to the channel, because there's going to be another video for you about the Lakers and the free agent market. There's a couple of players in mind that the Lakers could potentially target that, judging by salary cap wise, the Lakers don't have. So it could be another scenario like last season. The Lakers will sign somebody as with I believe a tax player mid-level exception, and just sign some veteran players. So, and plus, just judging by this year's free agency, it's not going to be very loaded. So the Lakers have a lot on their plate when it comes to signing players that will obviously benefit them for next season in the stronghold. So expect a video of that in the next one. But as it concerns this one, guys, please give me your thoughts about the Lakers and the NBA draft. Do you think the Lakers should buy a second round pick? And who do you think who should they trade with? And when it comes down to it, if not, do you think the Lakers should just keep their money and just hope that they get Kai Sotto or any of those players that I mentioned as an undrafted player. I really want to know your thoughts about that in the comment section down below. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Go Lakers. Take it easy, guys. Stay safe out there.